Yo, what is going on? It is Chris Waters. I am with my good friend and co-host, Brian Butler, and this is the next episode of the Red Line Briefing. How's it going, Brian? How's it going up there?
Hey, man, it's going. It's hot up here, but we staying cool, man. We staying cool. What about you down there in the beautiful Sunshine State?
We are staying hot and humid and free, brother. Let me tell you how it is going.
Down there in the free state of Florida.
That is correct, man. So, lots to talk about tonight on the Red Line Briefing. First and foremost, remember to like, share, subscribe. That always helps us in getting the content out that you want to hear. And eventually, as we get into having guests, that'll help a lot as well. So, let's help that algorithm. Other than that, cheers to the show. And let's get right into it. So, the headlines we have, first and foremost, OpenAI has broken out of its confines. It's out of the sandbox.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's that's a big deal to some, not to others. We'll dive into that. Next, we've got the Democrats who apparently took out a mortgage on their building. We'll talk a lot about
paying for the rest of our lives.
Dude, they have, well, look, listen, they have no money. They were, what, 20 million in debt after Kamala's, so-called campaign or whatever she had going on. So, yeah, they're taking out loans using their place as collateral. We'll talk more about that. Next, Fauci pleading the fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth.
Joke, man. Absolute joke.
Absolute joke. It was a joke of 111 times. It was boring to watch, but nonetheless. So, Mom Donnie, he wants to arrest old BB, huh? Is that the
I wish he would, man. I wish he would try.
Man, he wants to try, but good luck with that.
Quickest way for him to find himself in a federal penitentiary is to try some shit like that, but we'll get into it.
I was thinking Gitmo, but close enough. Next on the docket, is China helping Iran? Is China helping Iran? Think about this, man. And we'll talk a little bit more about it too. But like, if you were Russia, wouldn't you be a little bit, or I'm sorry, China and Russia, wouldn't you be a little bit butthurt with the stuff we've done with like Ukraine and in Taiwan and the proxies? Yeah. So like, devil's advocate, I see what's going on here.
100%.
Next, Spain is being overran. Lots to talk about there with their globalist socialist leader and who they have elected. And quite honestly, listen, if you elect how they did by the landslide that the guy won by, you're inviting this in, and we'll talk more about that as we get into that story. Also on the list tonight, we've got the Young Washington Review. Brian's going to break down the whole ordeal there.
We enjoyed the movie, but we'll get into that also.
There you go. Next, we're going to talk about robots that they're trying to get out there to teach our children with. So it's very interesting.
Coincidentally, the same robots that some people use for other things.
It's not Elon. Yeah.
The best, cleanest way I know how to put it.
That's right. Well, they're not Elon's robots for sure.
No, they're definitely not.
Man, and I tell you, one thing I do want to talk about too is I live here in the great free state of Florida. We have signed in a common sense bill in 2024 that is taking effect here in 2026, 2027 school year. And we're going to talk a lot about this because this hits near and dear to my heart and home. And we'll go over that as well. Also, a new bill that is being proposed that should help the parents out, actually, with taking charge with certain decisions that will be happening to their own children in the school system, which is great. And I'll tell you what, the teachers' unions are going to have a lot to say about it. So we'll talk a little bit about that as we get into it.
Yep, 100%.
Well, cool. First on it, the Democrats took out a mortgage. They took out a mortgage, man. Like, the Democrats are acting like the house is in the bag, but
I don't understand how they even did it.
No, so the numbers are simple, right? You have a building that's worth a certain amount of money. You can only take out a certain amount in worth on it. So they did what they could. They got about 16 million, I think, for this loan.
We're just going to assume everybody here knows how equity works. But,
Yeah, bingo. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but I'll tell you what, man. The numbers with this do say not so fast. And the DDHQ's forecast has them only around a 60% shot at winning it, which is code for this is still a knife fight, not a coronation.
This is crazy. I'm paying attention to our comments over here. We've got people saying, and I quote, Democrats are going to be bankrupt in a year. And I'm willing to bet it's probably pretty damn accurate.
Well, yeah, for sure, man. I mean, if you think about it, you're looking at what is it? Sorry, looking through my notes. I can't find it, but the Republicans are said to have anywhere from, 120 million to 400 million in the bank right now with zero debt, which is fan-damn-tastic.
The reason why we're called conservatives.
Well, that's a valid point. I mean, look, you got to know how to balance a budget. I mean, if you can't even balance, a budget for your party, what makes you think you can balance a budget for the country? I mean, case in point, look at Gavin Newsom and look at Florida. California. Meanwhile, here in Florida, our budget has actually went down 4 consecutive years now. Look, we're looking at getting rid of property taxes. A lot of great things happening here, so can't complain there. I don't know, man. Plain English, party was short on liquid cash, so it borrowed against its building to cover operations and campaign activity.
Yeah, they were broke. And like every turn, no matter how you put it, basically they were broke. BROKE. There's no other way to look at it. I don't know how else to say it, man.
No, facts. It's unfortunate, but look, there's not this big blue wave I think everybody thinks coming. I mean, just look at it.
Yep, 100%.
I don't know, man. Well, I know one thing with you being up there near DC and plugged in with everyone, you already knew what was going to go down at the Fauci Senate hearing.
And
what were your thoughts on it?
This guy, man, he is. I think we can all agree that he is hiding things from not only Congress, but the American people in general. My question is, what is so big that at this point he is still trying to hide? The man has been granted a pardon of sweeping proportions, okay? The exact wording on the pardon, I believe, was something like any and all actions. Basically, he got a pardon for anything and everything he did while Biden was in office, okay? Like, this man could have unalived someone, basically, and doesn't matter. He's been pardoned already for it. So legally, he can talk about it now. It's kind of like OJ with Double Jeopardy, OJ went to give an interview, and he was like, not saying I did it, but if I did, this is how I did it.
This is how I did it.
Even if he came out and, if he was still alive, if he came out and was like, you know what, I did it, they couldn't do a damn thing about it legally, okay? So it's kind of the same concept here. This man has already been essentially cleared of any crimes. He has a presidential pardon. There's nothing they can do, okay? So the fact that this man came out and claimed, and pleaded the fifth, to not incriminate himself, it speaks volumes to me, man. Volumes, okay?
Facts, man. I mean,
biggest thing that sticks out to me is he legally, the question in the legal world that's going around is, can he even do that? Realistically, in my opinion, he can't. He legally can't claim the fifth. He can't take the fifth for something he's already been pardoned from. He has no right to not incriminate himself because legally he cannot incriminate himself. What is the man hiding? It wasn't exactly
know what he's hiding because he left his he wrote emails on a government server that never goes away.
His so-called diary. And everybody.
I mean,
a lot of people on the left are upset. They're like, they subpoenaed his diary. They were government documents, my guy. You can label it whatever you want to. At the end of the day, they were government documents, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He appeared before the Senate this week and, by multiple reports, invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Not once, not twice, not 20 times, 111 times this man took the fifth, man.
God forbid he lies about the color of his tie.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he refused to tell them the temperature outside. Upon advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment constitutional right as afforded to me under the Constitution. Like, no, dude, come on, seriously. Like, if he's already received this broad presidential pardon from Joe Biden covering potential federal offenses committed during that period, why plead the Fifth? That is really the question that was dominating social media this week. You know, and I'll be clear, presidential pardon does not automatically, prevent somebody from invoking the Fifth Amendment. As lawyers point out, there can still be some legal concerns, but realistically, he's already been pardoned. What's going to happen? States can, if he committed a state crime, a state could file a charge. But again, all this stuff happened in D.C., which is not covered by any state. Okay, it's completely federal. So as far as I can see, there's nobody out there that can go after the guy. What are your thoughts, man?
The only way that they can go after him first is to go after the pardon itself, right? You have to get that it is illegitimate, whether it was from power of the auto pen, whether it was forced by somebody that shouldn't have done it. Like, if you're going to prove it, well, where's the proof? First off, so you do have to prove that. It was crazy that it was done in the 11th hour, just under everyone's noses. What gets me too is like he's trying to go around tell everybody vote for me for this award, this or that. Like he's making all this money from awards and all the shares of stock that he has with all the big pharma. Not to mention though that this isn't the first time that this guy has had a God complex. When was it? The late 80s when he was killing more people with AIDS than with the drug than actual AIDS was killing people.
Absolutely, you're not wrong.
So I mean, talk about learning your history and not wanting it to repeat itself. I hope everybody got the wake up call. Not only from not trusting jabs, but we never.
No, you're right.
That's all I can say. Never forget.
No, you're right. And look, I've got a couple things I want to throw out there. First, let me say that there's some statistics I read this week while researching this that really, really blew my mind and bothered me. I encourage everybody to look this up. During COVID, more people died of suicide than COVID, okay? Just from a result of what was happening financially or from being put up by themselves, not being able to interact with people, God forbid, family members. More people died from suicide than they did from this disease, okay? And it's also very important to point out I am still an active sitting member of the American Bar Association until February 2027. So I do need to say that, the Fifth Amendment is an important constitutional protection. Every American has that right, and exercising it by itself, is not proof that someone committed a crime. We can't just assume he committed a crime because he did that. But the law student in me wants to say that, but the realist in me, the human being in me says, bullshit, why is he pleading if he's not hiding something? And I think that's a conversation worth having. And I think I've got a video I want to share with you guys. Let me see if I can pull it.
Yeah, do it, man. It's crazy. With Fauci, I was trying to look up. Right, here it comes.
Get it?
No audio.
I got the audio on it. Understand why the audio is not playing. Maybe I can't get it.
When you went to share it, did you turn the audio on?
Yeah, it's
like in Zoom where you have to activate the audio separate.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it alone unless you can get it to work. I'm not sure why it's doing that.
Well, let's see here.
If it'll work on your end. I'm also not logged into X, so that could be a reason.
All right, here you go. B died. Share audio.
Are not settled with the information that's been given to us right now. So I'm not going to be lining up taking a shot on a vaccination for something that wasn't clear in the first place. And then you all create a shot in miraculous time. It takes years to create vaccination.
Yeah. Basically, this guy,
Years.
Okay,
You know how many years were invested in this approach? About 20 years of science to get us to be able to do it.
20 years is not enough. And 9 months is
How?
definitely for nobody to be taking no vaccination
That's
that
right.
you all came up with.
The only reason I'm talking to you right now
Is because I had the jab.
Yeah, we can take that off. So yeah, basically, you know, the American looked Fauci in the eye, refused the COVID vaccination, and then called him out on camera. It's one of the ballsiest moments, you know, in the entire pandemic, and I'll never forget that.
It's funny too how he's written, you know, oh well, you know, it's no worse than the flu. But then, you know, a
Well,
week
my
later,
favorite-
it's
yeah.
actually you could get him for lying right there under oath because he
Yeah,
said it was
dude.
10 times worse. I mean,
My favorite, though, he just
we could get him for a number of things. It's just how hard is the
he
deal?
just told people we've been working on this vaccination for 20, 25 years. How? If this pandemic, this disease that magically popped up out of nowhere all of a sudden and took everybody by surprise, how the hell have you been working on a vaccine for 20, 25 years, man?
It's the
Explain that part.
mRNA patented technology generally.
It's
right?
shocking. Who has the patent on that? You know, I do.
Yeah, I forgot his name. He was on Rogan,
It's
and
Dr. Fauci, bro. Who has the patent?
he does not have the patents. The
I mean,
guy
on the
that
COVID
created the
vaccine itself, he
mRNA
does.
research holds the 8 patents to Robert Malone, Dr. Robert Malone. That's who it is.
Okay.
He is the guy that is on the patents for that. Fauci is most certainly not.
No, I'm talking about for the COVID vaccine. You talking? I know what
The
you're talking
mRNA,
about.
the delivery technology is Dr. Malone.
Yeah, that we're not talking about the same thing. You are correct about that 100%. Yes.
Let's see. Fauci, all he did was get on TV and say, all right, everyone, we need to stay 6 feet apart and we need to wear 2 masks.
Which he has since admitted was complete bullshit. By the way, like he made that up. Man, literally, there's no science behind that. The man made that up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is unfortunate, but true.
Unbelievable.
Hey, so on another
Yeah.
note, OpenAI.
yeah.
OpenAI and Hugging Face both said the model was being tested. So they had a model that was being tested in a controlled environment, then used a 0-day vulnerability to break out, reach internet access, and attempt to retrieve information to cheat the evaluation, which is crazy. OpenAI described it as an unprecedented cyber incident, and Hugging Face said there was no malicious intent. But when you're not first, you're last. So what do?
You're not
You
first, you're
go
last.
after your, yeah. So yeah, sure, it's just a cheat. I don't know. I thought it was funny. They're in a sandbox and they got out. You know, we all knew it was going to happen, and we all know that Terminator is a real thing and Skynet is a real thing, and that Sarah Connor was never crazy. She was just the first to see that.
Yeah,
data
she's the first
centers-
person to realize what was going on.
That's absolutely right. And apparently, Anthropic, Claude Mythos escaped, right? So Anthropic's evaluation model escaped a sandbox and generated real exploit chains against browser and OS targets, which is, in my opinion, even scarier.
It was a big deal. I can tell you on a national scale, there was actually a national security briefing specifically about that this week. So it was a pretty big incident.
Well, if you speak 10100, then you'll understand that FreeBSD NFS root exploit plus sandbox internet access boundary failures were a key to this. I'm not looking forward to what's going to happen in the next 2 years.
You give everybody that code again so they can remember it.
Well, listen, that, you know, I guarantee you AI has already gotten out there somewhere and hidden backdoor updates and backdoor code for themselves when they get to a place where they may need to go back and revert to that, you know, because humans get in the way. I guarantee you AI is already out there planting itself dormant, much like a Russian, you know, agent. So anyway, I thought that was very interesting. Had to bring that up because, you know,
Absolutely.
AI is not the future, it's now. Speaking of now, up in New York, you've got the great leader, Comrade Mondami, wanting to arrest a head of state And all he is a mayor. I'm like, bro, back up. You're a mayor. Like, you have no authority to do anything
Bro definitely needs to sit down and take a minute.
above the city level. Like, you ain't even a governor, bro, and states can't even get in the affairs of federal stuff. So
Exactly. The guy's barely a mayor, let's be honest.
I mean, he's a comrade. That's what he is.
And listen, I have it on good authority that as soon as a Republican replaces the current governor of New York, which will happen, one of the very first things in the new governor's target list is going to be getting that man out of office, because that is really the only person who can make that happen.
Yep.
We might actually see that happen.
And we might.
We roll the video of him real quick, and then I've got a whole bunch I want to say about this.
You got it up?
You open that?
Yeah.
Evidently, I have a volume issue.
No, it's crazy, man. Like, the war criminal.
Yeah, here we go.
Criminal. The architect of a
He's wearing a Casio digital watch from the 1980s.
horrific genocide against the Palestinian people.
Okay.
He is responsible for the killing of more than 73,000 people, for the maiming of tens of thousands of children, as those who survive undergo amputation without anesthesia, for the targeting of neonatal hospitals and maternity care centers, denying newborns even the chance to live, for the countless people he starved as he blocked food and humanitarian aid from reaching them, for the gunning down of hundreds of aid workers and journalists. And just last month, the UN confirmed that Palestinian children continue to be deliberately targeted and killed by Israeli armed forces. More than 8 months.
All right, so it's going on and on and on and on, just hitting talking points.
100%, man. The guy's got,
Hitting far left.
the guy's got
talking
it.
points.
Oh, but let's talk about. Let's break it down. Can the mayor of New York arrest the prime minister of Israel? Let's talk reality.
word?
Okay.
No.
So, yeah. No, apparently the mayor of New York City thought he was about to rewrite international law. Mayor Zorhan Mamdani, recently suggested that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu should be arrested if he comes to New York for the United Nations General Assembly because of the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant, the ICC. After legal review, he later came back, basically after he talked to people who actually know what the hell they're talking about. He came back and acknowledged that no, New York City, in fact, has no authority to carry out such an arrest. And instead, he basically issued this 2-minute-long video on YouTube pleading for the federal government to do it for him. Now let's set politics aside for a minute, no matter what side you're on, if you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, whether you love, the prime minister or if you hate him. That's not the issue here. The issue is actually understanding how the law works, okay? The mayor, he does not conduct foreign policy. He does not have a damn thing to do with foreign policy, all right? But that's the first problem. The first problem is that he said it to begin with. The mayor of New York City, he does not conduct American foreign policy. He does not negotiate treaties. He doesn't decide who the United States recognizes as a foreign government. He doesn't decide which international courts the U.S. will obey. Those powers all belong to the federal government, not some city hall, okay? It's kind of the same as local or district judges trying to say the president of the United States can or can't do things. It's really asinine if you think about it, The ICC, the International Criminal Court, is not the U.S. Supreme Court, okay? They actually have nothing to do with us at all. The United States of America, we do not recognize the ICC. We are not a signatory to it. We do not abide by it. We don't have a thing to do about it. As far as we're concerned, it's just some foreign club out there in, whatever country they're in. I know where they are. I'm trying to be, trying to be realistic about it. The International Criminal Court, the ICC, it's based in The Hague. It's a treaty-based court. Countries voluntarily join it. We don't. The United States never ratified the Rome Statute, as it's called, which created the ICC. And we're not a member of the court. Because of that, the ICC does not have automatic legal authority inside the United States.
Yeah.
Period. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean other countries have to ignore it. It simply means within the United States, it doesn't matter. It has no jurisdiction here. We've never agreed to abide by it. We never will. We don't that's one of the beautiful things about America. That's why we are America. That's why this country started. We don't want people on the other side of, the ocean trying to dictate to us how to live our lives. If we wanted that, we would still be ruled by a king, which thank God we are not. There's diplomatic immunity, which that's another huge obstacle. Prime ministers, diplomats, people from other countries, when they're visiting New York to go to the United Nations, they're not just here as a tourist. They're here on official business representing their home country.
That's right.
Visiting heads of government, attending the UN are generally afforded under all aspects diplomatic protections under U.S. and international agreements.
Mhm.
That makes the idea of a city police department just walking up like it's so outrageous, dude. Can you imagine like two cops from the NYPD just walking up to the prime minister's detail, being like, "Yeah, we've got an arrest warrant for your guy." That security detail would pull firearms on them, point it at the NYPD, and realistically, if they shot, I don't even want to get into all that, dude. Like, it could be the biggest shitstorm ever.
Oh,
The fact that this man even said this shit is mind blowing to me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What do you think?
I think it's nothing more than propaganda, just like everything else he does is. Plain and simple, he's a talking head, period, and he's trying to push an agenda, and he thinks
He's doing a good job.
he thinks he's thinking he's trying to look all big and bad, right? For, what people voted for him and still think he's an actual leader. So,
Absolutely.
speaking of who thinks they're actual leaders, China. Let me tell you something, man. China, good possibility that they could be helping out Iran with a few things. So now China's allegedly sending Iran shoulder fired missiles. And we're all supposed to act like this is just another normal Tuesday in the sane, stable world we live in. Sure, because when you think global peace, you naturally picture a Hong Kong middleman, a route through Pakistan, and a box full of portable anti air weapons headed for Tehran. This is why foreign policy always sounds like it was written by people who got their degree from a vending machine. Iran gets exposed, Iran gets hit, and suddenly the answer is don't worry, we'll help you rebuild your little sky shooting gadget collection. That's not diplomacy, that's geopolitical arts and crafts for dictators. And of course, China denies it. They always deny it. Completely groundless, they say, which is diplomatic language for please stop reading out loud the part we wanted hidden. In Pakistan, they deny it too, which is exactly what everybody says when the package is already somewhere between, well, not there or here. Let's also remember what these things are for. Not giant tanks rolling across the desert, but low flying aircraft, helicopters, drones, and the stuff that makes modern warfare actually work. So, yes, shoulder fired sounds small and cute, like it came from a camping store, but it's the kind of thing that can make a pilot's day go from routine mission to career change. Bottom line, if this report is accurate, China isn't just watching the Iran mess, it's quietly stocking the toolbox while pretending it's the neighborhood handyman. And that's how you know the world is in great shape. Everybody denies everything, nobody tells the truth, and the missiles still somehow show up.
100%.
No, it's crazy. If this is true, then a shipment of 300 to 400 man pads would be one of Tehran's largest known efforts to rebuild their short range air defenses, from all the war damage, of course. But this would definitely signal deeper military ties with Beijing on a real note. That is not something that we will take lightly, I'm sure. And, look, these weapons are defensive weapons, but they're still strategically important. Like, you could still use them, right? For
Absolutely.
offense. But I don't know. It's not like they're going to, go looking to use them somewhere. I mean, it will be strictly all defense. If they're trying to, hit us in Jordan or something, it's with a bigger, missile. So either way, though, like if China's helping, and this will pretty much let us know for sure if we see an influx in low range, uh, weapon systems going after our low flying birds. So I don't know. It's pseudotypical for China to pull some crap like this.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, though, guys, this is just it's a proxy war at the end of the day. This is no different than us helping Ukraine to kind of jab at Russia. It's no different than this stuff's been going on since the Cold War. There's
Yeah.
not a lot I'm allowed to say about this at the moment. I need to really sit most of this out, but this stuff is very real. It's very much a concern. It's there's honestly there's not really a big question about if it's happening or not. It's more at this point a question of at what scale is it happening.
Yeah. Hey, well, moving on to another note. Talk to us a little bit about the Young Washington, man. This is another Angel Studios production.
Yeah, man.
I
No,
haven't seen
really,
it yet,
really.
but I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, it was a really good movie. Finally had a chance to see it. Young Washington by Angel Studios, and I've got to say, I really enjoyed it. Before anybody jumps in the comments saying that's not exactly how it happened, relax. We'll get to that. We'll get to the historical side. I'm gonna try to not do too many spoilers. But if you have not seen the movie yet, you might want to skip the next couple minutes. I will say this isn't a documentary. It's a historical drama. It was inspired by real actual events. And I think it's important to judge that. I want to judge it for what it is.
Mhm.
Let's talk first the good, what the movie got right. Okay. The cinematography was outstanding. The scenery, costumes, weapons, overall atmosphere was an awesome, fantastic job. It really transported you right back to the mid 1700s. Acting was solid across the board. This William Franklin Miller guy, he did an amazing, outstanding job portraying young George Washington, not as the legendary founding father we all know, but as an ambitious young British officer learning some very hard lessons in this movie, which would go on to shape him, for later in life, honestly. I also really appreciated that the movie focused on a period of Washington's life that was, most Americans know very little about. We know that he was our president, we know he was a general, but honestly, what do you guys know about him before that? Uh, this really goes into his experiences during the French and Indian War. Most films jump straight to the Revolutionary War or his presidency. This one explores the years that helped really shape the leader that he would eventually become, and it gives you a really good look at how his mind worked, honestly, and some of the things that affected, his decision making later on. The history, all right? This is where the history buff calls me out. Was this movie 100% historically accurate? No. In some of the scenes, it wasn't even close. Characters were combined, conversations were obviously fictionalized, timelines were compressed and blurred in several events. A few of the events were rearranged to make for a better movie. I can't blame them for that. After all, it is a business. They're trying to make money. Some battle tactics and equipment also were not entirely accurate, according to most historians and military enthusiasts. But here's the thing, almost every historical movie does this. Everyone. Braveheart, not historically accurate. Patriot, definitely not historically accurate. Lincoln, they really took a lot of creative liberties with that one. Even Band of Brothers, which is one of the greatest war productions ever made, compressed timelines and combined real people into composite characters at the end of the day. That's just Hollywood. It's what they do. If every historical movie made were a perfect history lesson, they'd probably be 6 hours long and half the audience would fall asleep. We wouldn't go see them, honestly. Why does this still work? What matters to me is whether the movie captures the spirit of the person and the time period. And I think Young Washington did exactly that. It shows a young man who makes mistakes. It shows him learning humility, very important. It shows him earning respect instead of simply demanding it. It portrays leadership as something that's forged through hardship, not something that you're simply born with. Those themes are historically consistent with what we know about George Washington's early military career, even if every conversation, every scene didn't happen exactly the way they're portrayed on screen. So, final verdict, my rating as a movie, I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. As a history lesson, it comes back around 6.5 or 7 out of 10. If you walk into the theater expecting a documentary, you're going to be disappointed. If you walk in expecting an entertaining, historical drama that introduces a new generation to one of America's most important, possibly the most important figure, then you're going to have a good time. Just keep an open mind based on that. And honestly, if the movie inspires people, especially young people, to pick up a biography of George Washington and learn what really happened, that I'd call that a win. I hope Angel Studios continues making movies like this. America has no shortage of incredible historical stories and figures that deserve to be told and spoken about. I mean, if Young Washington is the beginning of a series, then I'm really looking forward to see where they go next. Reports indicate that a sequel based on 1776 is already in development and in production. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen this one, definitely check it out. Yeah, I'd like to, I kind of, part of me wants to talk about the Odyssey, but we're going to save that for another episode. We did go see Odyssey the day before we saw Young Washington. That's going to be a much longer route about what they did to that movie,
God,
what they did to the
I'm
story.
so over that, man. That
It's all fucked up.
that garbage that Christopher Nolan tried
100%.
putting out. It was horrible.
100%.
But yeah, no, it's a great. I'm curious. With you know what? So the Fat Electrician, he actually does a bunch of great historical stuff, and he actually has recently done Washington, and it's really really freaking
Awesome.
good.
I have to check that out. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. He's got some awesome stuff. He actually just did one that dropped today about Francis Marion, which is the real patriot.
Yeah.
So is the guy that they based Mel Gibson on. So that was neat to actually hear that today. Speaking of Europeans,
Yeah, man. Let's talk about the invasion going on overseas right now.
Espanol, yeah. So Spain, North African enclave of how do you say it, Sidua?
Yep, said a lot exactly like that, and it's
Yep.
everything this man's about to tell you is 100% true.
Yeah.
I've seen videos, I've read reports about it
The
this week. It's been bad.
videos are everywhere.
Yeah, man, it's
Everywhere. I'm gonna talk about
it's
it.
scary, dude. It really is.
Check this out. Let me show you.
While he's loading that, I'll just say that this is not really just a Spain specific thing. This is happening everywhere, man. These people have taken over Europe. Like they've almost destroyed Great Britain as far as I'm concerned. Like I would not want to travel to London right now. You could not
look,
pay me
so
to go to London right
here's
now.
how they're doing this, right? So instead of having like a illegal inflow of immigrants, you have a globalist comrade that's running Spain, right? He's voted in. He's running Spain like socialist country. So what he's going to do here is once they're at over 80,000 people that have illegally entered their country in the last 48 hours. So think about this. You get all this influx, right? And he's already said that over the next few years, he's going to be trying to give them, passports and make them citizens and all this and all that. So once he does that, all of these illegals now have documented access to the EU and can go anywhere they want in the EU legally at that point. That's so crazy. That's just one of the many things that's going to happen. And of course, Trump said it like about folks from Mexico and south of the border. He's like, we're not getting the best of the best. We're getting the worst of the worst. Best of the best are staying there. So this is what's happening to Spain, and it's uncanny how crazy this is, right? It's like many have crossed by swimming or waiting around in the border barriers, while others are pushing through fence areas, but they're overcoming and overwhelming all of the facilities and all of the guards that guard these borders. It's insane. But some are saying hundreds, but just look at these videos, man. There's
Yeah,
thousands
it's
per
thousands.
video, and there are multiple videos, man. But Spain is having a rough week, man. Thousands of migrants surged in, mostly from Morocco, right? And local
Yep.
officials called it an emergency, and Madrid had to send in military help.
I would say it was bad enough where they had to involve the Spanish military.
Yeah, right. And of course, the second the border starts collapsing, the language police show up. They don't want you to say chaos or overwhelmed or border crisis. Because if you rename the disaster, maybe the disaster gets embarrassed and leaves. I don't know, man. But look, ordinary people can't see it. The fence got tested, the system got strained, and the officials got caught doing what they always do, explaining the mess instead of fixing it. It's going to get worse and worse, man. I'm looking forward to see what's, going to happen in Spain. It's such a beautiful place. But unfortunate. Speaking of unfortunate, man, teachers, our students are getting taught by everything nowadays. You think our kids are being taught by AI on a computer?
All right, so AI humanoid robot put on hold after sex bot connection sparks outrage is the headline that I've seen numerous times in the last 48 hours, man. So a school district in rural upstate New York has hit the brakes on plans to place an AI-powered humanoid robot inside a high school classroom. This thing we're looking at right here, literally, this is the exact one that they were going to use. They were going to put this in a classroom to teach high school students. Now, I remember you and me in high school. You know what we would have what we would have done if we walked in and this was our teacher.
Unbelievable, man.
I mean,
Unbelievable. I don't know. I heard that they still can't even get the audio, like the voice,
yeah,
to coincide with the mouth
y-
movement. Like,
yeah. I mean, the fact that they've already spent almost $60,000 on this. The Salamanca City Central School District. If you live in New York and you live in this school district, we'd love to hear from you. Shoot us a message or an email, or you can message me on Facebook. We want to know your thoughts, okay? Because your school district has already spent nearly $60,000 on this robot.
60
Okay,
grand, huh?
stationary robot with long dark hair. It can move its arms, its hands, and it has already been nicknamed
Yo,
Sally.
does she
Substitute
teach
Sally.
science? Because she looks like a Vulcan. Look at her eyebrows.
Live long and prosper, Sally. Right? I mean, the school district says that
Unbelievable.
Sally is supposed to help high school students studying robotics, artificial intelligence, and other technology
I
related fields. I can
I'll tell
only
you what they're
imagine
gonna
what they
help.
would be doing with this doll. Excuse me,
Unbelievable.
teacher.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, I'll tell you what those high school students are gonna be doing.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. And the part that's really mind blowing is, the Real Botix has a sister company. Okay, so the people who make this thing, Real Botix, its sister company is connected to Real Doll, a longtime manufacturer of hyper realistic sex dolls, including AI powered products advertised as advanced sex robots. So literally, imagine this thing in the Princess Leia outfit from Return of the Jedi, sitting in your weird uncle's bedroom, at night. And then during the day, apparently it's teaching, science to high school kids. Like, I don't, you can't make this shit up, man.
That's great, man. Hey, man, what it is to be a kid again. Take me back. Oh, shoot, man. Well, we'll wrap it up with this final story. This is something that hits close to home here, as I do reside in Florida, the great state of
The Free
great,
State.
the great free state, the great less tax state. And please, for the love of God, we are full. Don't bring yourself and or your politics here. That's all I can ask.
Exactly. Thank God I still have a
Anywho,
Florida driver's license.
yeah, Florida just been a Florida just sent a pretty simple message that facts matter and parents matter. So, Governor DeSantis signed a bill in 2024 making sure that communism is taught accurately, which is a very refreshing concept in
Did you say
2026.
communism?
Yeah, because apparently the basics now have to be legislated. Students shouldn't get a sanitized fairy tale about a system that crushed freedom, punished dissent, and always ended up in the same place. 100 million plus dead in a century, misery, shortages, that being food, gas, electrical, otherwise, and a lot of propaganda. I mean, just look at North Korea. And on the AI front, parents may finally get a real say in what happens in the classroom. And that's a proposed bill that we have being proposed. And I tell you what, the Florida teachers unions, they're definitely going to hate this one. Florida teachers unions, it's on record, it's all public record. 95% of the folks in the teachers union, their money goes to the Democrats, which is unfortunate. Nonetheless, there is a bill that's being proposed that will allow parents to opt in and out on any AI tool used in the classroom. So this is going to be fantastic, right? Because we all know that AI could definitely hinder free thinking and young minds. The way that they learn, right, is to be,
Absolutely.
to question things, to be curious, and you can't just go out automatically looking for the answer and have AI do everything for you, writing your book reports, all this, all that. It just doesn't work. I mean, first off, I'll get a side note here, but there was there was a professor who was in a college and kids had to write a paper, or it was high school. They had to write a paper on something, but in the direction, he put in a couple of hidden keywords that when all 35 of his students, got the same thing, 32 out of 35 of his students were busted because what they were talking about was something science related, but he put the word Madagascar in there somewhere. And then 32 out of 35 of the students used AI and incorporated Madagascar into their paper without them knowing it.
Without even knowing it because they were too stupid to pay attention.
Bingo. So it's just insane. The teacher was like, I expected like 10, but almost the entire class.
If you're going to do something wrong, do it right.
No, I'm telling you, man, for real. But long story short, if schools want to use AI tools, families should know what it is, what it does, and whether they're okay with it being for their kid, when they get plugged into, before they get plugged into some digital experiment.
Absolutely.
I mean,
100%. Yep.
if you want, AI to help you, do research on a book report, great. If you want it to write your book report, it's where I got the problem, And with AI out there, it's very easy for all of that to happen. I want my kid to critical think. I don't want an AI bot to think for him or her. Anyway, and it's not me being anti-technology. No, it's me being pro accountability, right? Innovation is great, but it should never outrun common sense, parental consent, or the teacher in the room. So, anywho, one note, the communism law, it was signed in 2024 and it is being implemented in the 2026-2027 school year. So I'm excited
Meanwhile, the AI measure you mentioned is a proposed bill with parental opt-in language just under consideration. But it's cool for us to talk about communism. Make it make sense, bro.
I'm telling you, right? Well, no, I want this bill that they sign talk about communism. It needs to be taught accurately, right? I don't want I don't want my kids to be sheltered from it. I want them to know how bad it actually is. I'm still waiting for somebody to show me one example, literally one example of socialism or communism working.
Doesn't exist, bro. Every
It
single
does
time
not
it's failed
exist.
epically.
It has, for sure.
Very, very well documented. I challenge anybody to show us, please. I challenge anybody. You find me an example of where it's worked, I'll give you $100. Find me an example because I promise you, everyone that you look at, they have failed epically. I'd put money on it.
Facts. Well, I guess that'll about wrap it up. Just want to remind everybody you can check us out at the redlinebriefing.com. You can get that'll give you access to all of our links. You're going to check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everywhere around. You can definitely check us out on YouTube, Spotify. Just Google Red Line Briefing. And what's your let's see, where can they find you, man, online?
Yeah, man. Y'all can find me everywhere at the President and CEO on all social
Outstanding.
media.
You can find me at Redline Chris Waters on Instagram, and I've got actually some new space that I'm working on. Look for us in Rumble very soon. That's going to be exciting as we move into more spaces for streaming and for our podcast to get out there to everybody. Once again, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and go join us. You can hear us on all the podcasting outlets and tell your friends.
Yep. That's going to do it for this time, guys. We appreciate y'all. Stay
See ya.
tuned. Big things coming. Big
Peace
things
out.
coming.